Hello everyone, my name is Ilba Sayed, your host for Alif Tech Talk series, and today with us we have Mr. Mohammed Adnan, and he's a Microsoft MVP and a true expert in Microsoft Fabric, a topic which I believe all of us have been waiting for. So without any further ado, let's get started. Hi Mohammed, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great, thank you so much. Can we start?
Yeah, we can start.
Perfect. So our first question for you here, Adnan, is what inspired you to start working with Microsoft Fabric? And what are some of the most memorable projects you have done with this particular technology? The stage is yours.
Okay. So first of all, is like I love Microsoft products. So since the beginning of my career, so whatever Microsoft used to launch, I used to make a try out of it. So that I can aware of what the product is and how it works. But recently, as being an MVP, I'm working in Power BI for the last 6 to 7 years now. And Fabric is a kind of same place of the Power BI. So it's a kind of same UI, and it has additional functionalities apart from Power BI. So that's the reason I started to work on the Fabric. And the main advantage of using this is having one security and one leg. So if you're aware of the OneDrive for the data, what we have in OneDrive for the files, it is similar to the data. So one lake is similar to the OneDrive for the files, and here one lake is for the data. That's how it is. And regarding the projects, it is actually launched few months back, and last week from Microsoft Ignite, they have released it to be generally available for all the public, and it has a lot of positive feedback from all over the world about the Fortune 500 companies are being implemented this fabric in their own enterprises. And the memorable project which I worked is basically a recent client which they want to implement a data warehouse completely into Fabric. And not only that, they also want to implement the medallion architecture, which we used to call usually for the data warehousing purpose, where we used to have a bronze layer, silver layer, as well as the gold layer. So usually the bronze layer will be the raw data coming from different parts of the sources, and then they will just dump the data. And from there, they will clean the data based on the requirement on the silver layer. And finally, they will optimize the data for the gold layer for the business specific reasons. And that's the one thing which we used. And also they implemented the slowly changing dimensions. If your background with the data warehousing, then you might be aware of these things. So this is a recent project which I did in Microsoft Fabric.
Any tip or any advice you would like to give on this particular question for our audience before we move on to the next one?
Mm, not really.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. All right. Our next question is, what are some of the advantages and drawbacks of using Microsoft Fabric for building scalable and reliable applications and services?
Okay, so first of all, Fabric is a SaaS platform. So they are giving software as a service. So that's actually the real plus for the Fabric. Because if you compare with previous products from Microsoft like Synapse, it when compared to Fabric, the usability and easiness of access of all these items in Fabric is not much user friendly when compared to Synapse Data Warehouse, Synapse Data Factory kind of thing. But in Fabric, it's really simplified the UI, and they have made this UI, as I can say, it's a part of the Power BI user interface. Because Power BI has given a lot of boost for Microsoft, and it has gone far away in the BI world. So they use the same interface, and we can just, if you want to create a data factory item, then we can just click on just create a data factory, then it is available for you. You don't need to use any kind of selection what you need. Everything happens behind the scene. So that's really a plus point for Fabric. And not only that, it actually brings all the data people together, like data engineers and data factory people and data scientists. Everybody can work together in a single unified platform. That's really amazing point of Fabric. And the main advantage here is it can deeply integrate with the industry requirements. So whether we need a data scientist team, if you want to also need engineering team, everybody can work together on this one. And not only that, the developers can reuse the data because the data is available in one lake. So everything is happened in one single location. And if the engineer want to reuse the data, then they can use the data and then upload it again to the same location. And from there, the BA people can also take the data for their business reporting purpose. So that's also a centralized place. And future, it will come up here one security that will have done that will handle one security at one lake itself. So if you are applying any kind of security at the base layer, then it's going to transform, it's going to carry forward the same security layer until the end users, those who are going to view the report. And these are the advantages of that. And then if you are aware of SQL, or if you are aware of Power Query, or even if you are aware of Notebook, either three of them, you don't need to learn together. If you are aware of any of these three, then you can go ahead and start with using data extracting, data transformation, using data factory. So everything happens. We have multiple options in Fabric. So we don't need to be have a specific on a particular thing. It can be in multiple software tools. We can use that. And the most important thing which I like is there are many things actually we can say is like output destination. So in data factory, we can get the data from different sources and do the transformations. And we can also output the destinations into different locations. Let's say, for example, if you are extracting the data from the SharePoint or SAP, and then we can transform the data based on our business requirement, and then we can load it into a lakehouse or also on the warehouse. So it depends. So that's also one of the beautiful thing in Fabric here. And disadvantage, what I can see here is basically recently it is now generally available. Last week from Microsoft Ignite, they announced about having generally available, but still there are few things which is still under process, I can say. So the things are, for example, the one security. So they're still going to build up on this part where we can need to assign security layer at the base one, which is at one layer. Then it has to carry forward everything till to the main user. That's one thing. Another thing is like the Git integration, version controlling in Fabric. Right now, it is supported only for Power BI items, but for the other artifacts like data factory item, notebooks, pipeline, everything, it's not yet supported. But for sure, it's going to support in near future. Not we don't have need to be wait for a long time, but it will be available in a short period. And also regarding the data warehouse side, there are few things which you still need to develop, like order table and row number, and also it is not available on specific regions. So these are the little bit disadvantages. But if you are into the main areas and you are not going to use this kind of feature, then you can definitely make a try on Fabric for now. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Adnan. Thank you so much. I think those drawbacks and those advantages are really going to be useful for us. Moving on towards our next question. How do you envision the future of Microsoft Fabric, and what are some of the new developments or possibilities in this particular domain?
Okay, so in short, the future is bright, like how what we see of Power BI in 6 or 7 years back, and now it is one of the top leaders in the BI stack. So similarly, this is going to be the one of the big thing. The reason I can say is because of the simplicity of the UI and the multiple developer options at the same place. We can reuse the data. So these are the important things which is makes the Fabric a unique platform. And apart from that, I can say the one security which is going to come up in future, in near future, and also that is one security is for the one leg thing, and for the entire Power BI service, I mean the Fabric service, the folder structure is going to come up in the workspace. That is actually much needed one. The reason for that is right now, since we work only for Power BI, even that also many companies have requested to have a folder structure which we use to organize our files and folders in our hard drive. Similarly, they want to assign the reports also inside to the folder. So that is in the plan from Microsoft. So they are going to release in next year, and they are keep on improving the native visuals what we have it right now in Power BI. Like they are updating the SCART visuals, and they have different plans also to improve the native visuals in Power BI to add more advantages, more functionality inside to the existing core visuals. So this will help us not to go with third party or certified custom visuals. we can make use of our by default own visuals from Power BI itself. And not to forget one thing, which is Copilot. It's going to be added in every places of Fabric. Right now, they launch only for the Office 365, and it is being added to Data Factory. But they are going to integrate with Power BI. It's already available. They are going to implement for the data warehouse and other artifacts as well. So future is bright, I can say. So the Copilot is going to be the big game changer for the Fabric users.
Going on towards our next question, Adnan, I have to say I'm truly enjoying this conversation though. What are some of the key skills or tips for using Microsoft Fabric successfully and productively?
Okay, so that's a good question, but the answer is it depends. So because Fabric is the place for every person who are related to the BI thing, which is the data engineer, data scientist, and BI data analyst kind of thing. So if you are a person who wants to work with BI like Power BI, then you just need to learn Power BI, SQL, and Excel. So here, why I'm referring to Excel is basically the analyze in Excel feature is going to help you in order to work with the business people, because nowadays in future also you are not going to be have a single specific skill set. You need to have a multiple skill set for you in order to optimize your resume, also for your work experience, and so on. So like that, so if you are a BA people, then you need to be aware of Power BI, SQL, and SQL. So SQL in the sense, the reason is if we have a fabric and they will give the access to the warehouse, then you can create the data by yourself. You can create a view by yourself, and then you can use that view in Power BI. So that is the reason you need to aware of these three skills. And if you are from a data scientist people, then you need to be aware of SQL, Python, and Scala, and R language for that in order to data wrangling things and also do other kind of transformation jobs for data scientist people. And mainly the Python, if you are from data scientist team, then you need to aware of the Python skill. So because that is booming a lot, not only in Fabric, also for other industry as well. So that will be a great advantage for you. And regarding the data engineers, so if you're a data engineer, then you need to be aware of obviously the SQL Server and then SQL query, how you need to produce that SQL view. And also you can make use of Power Query. So that is the, if you are not a person who used to code a lot of things, you prefer to be go with UI thing, because even myself is not a much familiar, much happy to go with the coding thing. Even we can do a lot of stuff in coding, but still I prefer to go with UI as much as possible instead of doing coding. So in Power Query, it's basically the high level tool, I can say, because it has a lot of functionality inside to that, but many people are not using it as much its potential it has in Power Query, because it is actually usable in Dynamic 365. We can use it inside Power BI. We can use it inside Data Factory. So we can also use it inside Excel. So that is the power of Power Query, I can say. We can do a lot of transformations without writing a single line of code. Everything is available on the UI itself. So you need to learn multiple skills. The high priority I can say here out of all these, what we have in Fabric is Power BI, obviously, Power Query, and Python, Excel, and what I say, the SQL. So these are the things which you need to be aware of that. So like I said in this conversation, that Microsoft is going to bring the Copilot inside to these Fabric things. It actually make our life a lot easier. It does a lot of our job easier, but it doesn't mean that you have to be careless about what you are going to learn. You have to learn yourself these kind of tools and technology. Copilot will assist you in your job doing it much productive way, but it's not like replacement of your learning things, because in future you have to be learn yourself, then only you can able to validate what the output has bring from the Copilot. So you need to learn these kind of skills and use Copilot for your productivity. And sorry, I forgot to tell one thing. The most important thing here is for all these things, you need to understand the business requirement first. Because I've seen some of the people, those actually worked on the project, but they don't actually get the understanding from the business. So business understanding has a two advantage. So one is basically you are going to fulfill the current customer requirement. And not only that, you are going to get aware of your actual business reason. Let's say, for example, if you are building a report for supply chain, then you will get to know about what are the things involved in a supply chain. Supply chain is actually a really big thing. It has contains a lot of inputs and transactions and everything. So it will be helpful for you even for your future job or other locations, that you are going to aware of the business domain, not only technically, but you have to be aware of the business domain as well. So that's my advice on that.
Well, thank you so much, Adnan. I really like the way you rapped about Power BI and how it should be taken into a very constructive form of learning. Thank you so much. I think we have arrived to our last question for the day. How do you communicate and cooperate with other developers or groups who use Microsoft Fabric? And what are some of the resources or platforms that you use or suggest?
Okay, so like I said, Fabric advantage is having the version control, and with the help of version control, we can also use multi-developers inside to this one. So for one single project, there will be chances of working with multiple people, like data scientists, data engineers, and BA people. So they all can access the same data together and use the Git functionality, even though it is still not fully functionable. But hopefully, in the next 3 to 6 months, it will be available. Then we can make use of that Git integration on that. So this helps actually the communicating between the inside the organization. You can communicate with the other people, even though they are not available with you. They can be anywhere in the world, but you can make use of this Git integration inside the Fabric. Regarding the learning of this thing, first of all, I will refer to Microsoft's own documentation. The Microsoft learn.microsoft.com is really a wonderful place where you can start with all your learnings and other things, because they are the builders of these products and they have base to advanced concept about how we can make use of that. There are certain cases where it is not covered. Obviously, they can't able to have every documentation, but for other things, you can also refer to YouTube channel or other community post and also the blog post on that. So for YouTube, you can refer to my channel as well. And other things is like you can also refer to Radacat and Guy in a Cube. These are the people who are good aware of the technologies and they have a good content inside to them. And don't forget to post your queries and everything on the Fabric community. That is a very big community and people are making most use of it. Even to be honest, I have taken a lot of input from the community, and also I have also given a lot of answers to the community people, those who have raised any questions. And you also feel free to log into this Fabric community so that you can also aware of the questions what people are having into that one. The advantage of that is basically even if you don't have any queries, you just go and look into the Fabric community and just read the question and answers of that, because even though you are not working for a particular reason or particular report requirement, but the requirement which is mentioned on the blog post, it will be useful for you in future. So if you just go and spend at least half an hour or 1 hour time on a daily basis for your learning purpose in the community as well, that will be great advantage for you. So fabric.community, community.fabric.com is the website for that. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Adnan. Thank you so much. Yes, those were our questions for the day, and we have successfully come to an end. Would you like to formulate any, add-ons or any last advice before we close this call?
Yeah, one thing is I want to, even this is for myself as well.
Mhm.
Microsoft is keep on releasing a new updates every week, every month, and even in
Yeah,
Ignite, it's a lot of updates for entire Fabric thing. So you don't need to worry about your kind of FOMO approach. You are not going to lag behind if you don't learn, but don't be aware of such thing. You just need to try it out yourself. Just specify at least 1 hour or 2 hours in a day, not only in the office hours, even the extra hours you need to take, because recently the world is moving in a very fast pace. So you need to keep up your pace. Then will you can able to catch up the pace, or else you will be go behind on this one. So that's a kind of piece of advice which I want to give.
absolutely, Adnan. I think we couldn't agree more with you. So that is it. Thank you so much. I would like to thank our audience. I would like to thank you, Adnan, for coming up and spending this time with us and answering all these questions. We would love to host you and have you again in the near future, very very soon. Until then, I would like to sign off as your host, and we would be bringing much more content and more different people in the next video. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me as well. Have a great time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.